This episode of The Adventure Jogger is brought to you by Marjorie Lewis, Rebecca Joyner, John Harden, and Sean Humphrey, and all of our awesome Patreon supporters. Thank you for the support. And of course, you, the listener. The Adventure Jogger, a podcast about trail and ultra running. Meet fascinating runners from the front, middle, and back of the pack, sharing inspiring and funny stories about life and running. Running should be fun, and so should running podcasts. I'm your host, Stephen Kornhaus, and this is The Adventure Jogger. Well, today I've got a fellow Coloradan. I think that's how you say it, Coloradan. I don't know. I've only been here a little over a year, 2 years, on the podcast today from Durango. Today we have got DJ Fox, who just recently set an amazing FKT on the Colorado Trail, and we're going to talk all about that, hear more about DJ. So welcome, DJ, to the Adventure Jogger podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. Like, it's kind of a funny way we connected. I want to share that real quick. I got a buddy of mine, Joe Jude, who's an amazing athlete, and he's actually through hiking the Appalachian Trail right now. And he reached out to me. I think he was somewhere in maybe in Virginia. Sent me a text message. And he's like, "Hey, I met this guy, or I know this guy. You got to interview him on the podcast. It'd be great." And I was like, "Oh, cool, that's awesome." And so he sent me your number, and we connected. But that's do you know Joe from something else, or were you on the AT and like saw him?
That's funny. I was just gonna say that. I actually don't know Joe at all. It's a
Really?
friend through a friend. So I had my buddy Ross reach out and said, "Hey, I know a guy who knows a guy, who's potentially interested in having you on for a conversation." And yeah, sent me your info and said you were gonna reach out. However, the message got to you, and I was like, "All right, so yeah, sounds great,
That's
dude.
too
Yeah,
funny.
yeah."
A small
But
small,
yeah,
ultra world.
thanks to Ross and thanks to Joe for getting us here.
That's right, definitely. Well, DJ, I wanna start before the FKT that you just sent. I wanna start at, whenever you got into running. Like, what was your running journey like? Like, what brought you into this path?
That is a great question, right? I don't have your historical journey of, ran in high school and college and all that fun stuff. I do have a year of track and field in me in high school where
Okay.
I ran 100-meter dash and did high jump. I didn't do either of those things very well, but I participated. It was okay, and kind of obviously have transitioned a little bit from that 100-meter dash event I first participated in. But yeah, 1 year of track and field in high school, and then a ton of time off. Like I mean, that wasn't even really a focus. It was just kind of to get
Okay.
out there and do the thing, and just I played a little bit of every sport. You know, I never really dove into anything fully. So did that 1 year of track, went through, a lifetime for the most part until I found running again. But that
Yeah.
happened in 2018.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I was 25 years old, and I had just had a surgery
Oh, wow.
to help alleviate me of diverticulitis, which
Oh,
is
I don't know what that is.
it's a digestive disease, I suppose.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like dead ends in your intestines,
Oh,
basically.
gosh.
Yeah, so in 2017, I had like my first attack from that, right? And I ended up in the hospital. I felt like I just had like it started with a stomach pain and then progressed to like, oh my god, I've been stabbed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I went to the hospital and got a CAT scan. They're like, "Oh, you've got diverticulitis, but there's also a stomach abscess accompanying it right now. It's the size of both of your fists
Oh my
put
god.
together in between two layers of your large intestine." I was in the hospital for 8 days, no food,
Oh,
no
wow.
water. Like kind of a funny story for that as well. Is it was the very last day, and I had a nurse change, and she comes in. She's like, "Would you like me to sponge some water on your lips?" And I'm like, you can do that, oh my god, it's like, I haven't had a sip of water in over a week. I was like,
You're
please,
wasting away, and she's like,
please
"A
sponge
little
my
drop."
lips. Yeah, yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. So that was in 2017, and then I had these reoccurring attacks over
Wow.
the next year or so, where I was in the hospital often. I knew what it was at that point, and I would hobble into the emergency room and I'd be like, "Can I have my antibiotics? The diverticulitis, it's flaring up." And then it happened so often that in 2018, I just elected to have surgery to try to get that
Wow.
bad portion removed. So in February 2018, they cut out about a foot of my large intestines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a big ugly chunk they pulled out. This monster.
My gosh.
Yeah, and I was in the hospital like doing my recovery and whatnot, and I had a friend send me uh, a post from Cameron Haynes on Instagram,
Okay.
and it was just about him. I think he had just done uh, the Moab, like the October before, or whatever, right?
Ah, okay.
And I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy! 200 miles!" And just like that seems cool. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know the world of ultra at any point at this time, right? Or
Yeah.
at all, right? Like I didn't know hundreds. I hadn't run. I got some, 100-meter dash in me at this point, like many years ago. Yeah, and that caught my eye and caught my interest, and I got out and I started this health and wellness journey at first. And was like, okay, like something was wrong. I've obviously got to take care of myself better,
Right,
right?
yeah.
And then that snowballed. And obviously, like I was intrigued by these ultra endurance feats that were happening.
Yeah,
And I just the first time I saw it, I was like, man, that's amazing, and for whatever reason, I want to do that.
yeah.
So I started running since uh, at that moment, and I've kind of put my head down and just haven't really picked it back up yet. So,
So how long after that surgery in 2017 was it when you ran for the first time?
um, I would say like 4 weeks.
Oh,
I
really?
went
That's
out.
it?
Yeah, they told me it was going to be 8 weeks before I could do anything, right? And I was healthy at that point, right?
Sure.
For the decade previously, I was just lifting weights, and doing like
Okay.
some high intensity stuff. But I mean, I think I went into that surgery like around 200 pounds.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry. The first attack I had, I was like around 200 pounds, fit, like just
Yeah.
meathead, muscle man. And by the time I got the surgery a year later, I was like 150 pounds, just like wasn't able to eat during those attacks, and I had spent like a decade trying to put this weight on and put all this muscle on, and it was
Right.
gone, dude. It was gone in the snap of a finger. And like that was my fork in the road where I was like, well, I can jump back into what I was doing and try to put the muscle back on and try to touch those weightlifting numbers again.
Right.
Or I could just do something else, and I think I want to try. I want to try something else. That was also like a big moment in my life where it was a scare, right?
Right, yeah,
And
seriously.
yeah, like okay, well, let's find something different and something that will allow me to challenge myself. And I started
Right.
running. Yeah, 4 weeks later, I was like, you know, bedridden for quite a while. Like I had lots of incisions in my abdominals, so like
Yeah.
everything was challenging, but it started off with, okay, let's go for a walk today, and like got to the bottom of the stairs and was like, that was enough. Walked back
Yeah.
upstairs, got back in bed, and then it went, okay, let's do a quarter mile, let's do a half a mile, let's do a mile. I did that, you know, as frequently as I could until
Right,
you
yeah.
find the first thing that goes wrong, obviously, right?
Yeah. Well, what I mean, were you on, like, the roads doing this recovery kinda half mile at a time, or were you, like, on the trail right away?
This was all roads. Yeah, I lived
Okay.
in a town right outside of Albany, New York at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was just pavement, 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 pavement,
Yeah.
cars flying by, having fun.
Did you do the whole, like, 5K, 10K, half marathon kinda thing, or what did that look like for you?
No, I didn't really race at all. I had my first race, actually. I did a 5K Spartan,
Okay.
and man, it was like in an army base. I can't think of the name of the location as of right now, in New York, and
Okay.
that was August of 2018.
Oh, okay. So that's one of the ones where they have, like, what, 10 to 15 different obstacles you're doing during a 5K, basically?
Yep. Yeah, it was
Okay.
like bucket carry, sandbag carry, monkey bars, barbed wire crawls, some
Right.
like military based things where you carried like
Sure.
a wooden rifle through some bunkers and
Okay.
fog machines and whatnot. And it was it was it was fun,
I bet.
And I think I came in like 35th in this open division, and I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm the man, like 30th. That's the first time I've ever did. I've never raced before and
Yeah,
without
that's
me
awesome.
knowing to look at this elite field and go, oh, I still got beat by an hour in a 5K. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, at some point you got pretty darn good at it because, I definitely looked at your Instagram and saw you have some other big events with Spartan that or Tough Mudder, I should say, Tough Mudder, that you had some pretty amazing results. So, did you kind of, after you started running and did that first 5K Spartan race, did you kind of go the OCR route for a while?
I did. Yeah. I just all in on obstacle course racing. And I loved it because it was this multifaceted event where I could use all that strength that I built and now chase this running thing that I was looking at now, right? So it was, yeah, I did that race in 2018. 2019 rolled around. I'm like, oh, cool. Spartan's got this thing called the trifecta where you do their 5K, their 10K, and their half marathon
Oh,
within a
yeah.
year calendar. So I signed up for one of each of those, and I was like, cool, I'm going to do the trifecta. I'll start running some further distances, and I hit one of each of those, and then September rolled around, and I saw they had an ultra, which is like 2 laps of their half marathon course, their beast, plus like a little
Okay.
ultra loop to do some more. And I picked the toughest one that they have, which is the Spartan Ultra Beast in Killington, Vermont.
Oh, okay.
So it's 50K. I think it had almost 17,000 feet of climbing.
Oh my god.
Oh, it was nasty, dude. It was nasty.
Wow.
Yeah,
On top of all the obstacles.
on top of, yeah, 60 obstacles, right?
Wow.
Um, yeah, so that was my first ultra event that I did, and I think
And
I
how
was
did
like
that one
just
go for you?
I finished, got it
Just
done.
fit it okay,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
got
the
it done?
DNF rate was like 80%, so I
Oh my
finished.
gosh.
Oh, it's
Wow.
always like that every single year at that course, though.
What now is that on like it's gotta be on like a ski resort or
It
something to
is.
have that kinda
Yep.
elevation. Okay.
Yep,
Man, yeah, that sounds
Killington
really
Ski
hard.
Resort. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it's one of the most brutal events that Spartan puts on.
Wow.
I'll stand by that right now for sure.
Okay. So did you then go on and do more Spartans, like more ultra distances, or did you switch over to Tough Mudder, or kinda did you just do both, or what
Yeah,
happened
so
there?
that's the end of 2019. I did that Ultra Beast, right? And then
Okay.
2020 rolls around. We all know what happens. There's no racing anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think it was March. I got to do one more Spartan 5K, and then everything shut down, and everything I put on the calendar was washed. Right? There's no
Oh,
more
yeah.
sanctioned races out. So I just chose a couple of FKT routes, and it was
Okay.
fine with me. Like I found out that year that I don't need anything to train. I just
Right.
like doing this. I really, really enjoy being outside and
Yeah.
running and challenging myself a little bit. I just I looked at that and I went, well, the people are going to come out of this on two sides. You're either going to have done nothing or you're going to have grind your face off and you're going to be good when there's racing again, right? And I
Yeah.
chose to at least try to be the latter side of that. But yeah, with nothing actually happening, there's a really cool route in upstate New York called the Cranberry Lake 50.
Okay.
And it's a lake, Cranberry Lake, up in the Adirondacks, and it's a one loop around the entire lake, and it's
Oh,
50 miles.
wow.
So I attempted to do that and an unsupported FKT.
Okay.
I got to like 50K into that thing, and I ended up with my first bout of IT band syndrome.
Oh, no.
Oh, dude, it was so bad. I remember like 10 miles in, I'm like, man, my knee kind of hurts a little bit, but hey, whatever, that's a tomorrow problem, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
And the thing with this loop is like, there's two ways to get in, and there's like, it's like right where I started. And then at that 10-mile mark, when you finally hop like off the first
Okay.
little bit of roads and trails, and then you've got a very remote remainder of the loop.
Wow.
So I'm at this 50K mark. All of a sudden, it's not all of a sudden. It's like slowly progressed the whole time, And I'm like, man, just finish, like get
Yeah.
out of here, And all of a sudden, I got a piece of rebar like from my hip into my ankle, and I
Oh
cannot
my
bend,
gosh.
can't bend my leg. And I found two sticks, and I just like shuffled my way out of there for
Oh.
almost 20 miles.
How did you get a piece of rebar in your leg?
Oh, no, it just felt like
Oh,
just
fell
like
okay,
yeah,
okay, I
no,
thought
it
you
was
still, like,
just
got
it
punctured
was
somehow.
no, my
Okay,
leg, the IT band syndrome just got so bad that
gotcha.
I could no longer bend my knee.
Okay, I
No
gotcha.
chance of it, yeah. And then I was a mess for, like, many, many, many weeks after that,
Oh,
honestly.
I bet, yeah,
Yeah.
that can take a while to recover from for sure.
That was my first 50-mile attempt,
Okay,
and I think that was maybe that was sometime in the summer, and I also went after the, Bob Marshall Traverse that year as well,
I've not heard of
which
that one.
is so it's another Adirondacks,
Okay.
so this is a point to point. It's amazing route out in the Adirondacks in the High Peaks region, and it's about 50K, and there's again like around 17,000 feet of climbing in it,
Wow.
and you get to hit 14 of the Adirondack High Peaks, which is the peaks over 4,000 feet in New
Okay.
York. Yeah, and I ended up I at least got that one done, almost problem free, but like I mean, a, a large handful of problems that I just didn't work
Okay.
out right, like
Yeah.
nutritional stuff, hydration stuff, and that was the most like energetically drained I think I might have ever been
Okay.
from
Just
an
probably from
event
the
I've ever
nutrition
done.
side of it?
Oh yeah, didn't know how to eat, didn't know how to like take salt in. It's like I'm
Ah,
starting these
yeah.
things. Yeah, and it was a mess, but I got it done. I got the FKT, and somebody's gone after it since and like pulled an hour off of it. So that's like
Okay.
starting to become a more competitive route, which is really exciting.
Nice. Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
it's an amazing point to point up there. So I mean, I hope that one starts to continue to get chipped away at. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean
guess more
that was my
popularity.
whole 2020 season. That was no racing, but I found a way to
Right.
go out there and like stay competitive and be
Yeah.
motivated and yeah and keep grinding. And
Keep
then
the iron
20
sharpened, right.
yeah exactly right. You always got to keep something in the fire.
That's right.
Yeah, 2021 rolls around and stuff starts to come back online, and I didn't race it all that entire year until November when World's Toughest Mudder came
Okay.
around. And I was like just again having some fun training during the year, and I think it was midsummer when my buddy and my coach at the time, Josh Reed, he's like, "Hey man, like I was looking at Spartan Ultra World Championships, which is their 24-hour event, and he's like,
Okay.
you should consider World's Toughest Mudder." He's like, "A bunch of your friends are going to be there. The obstacles are like incredibly fun. It's like
Yeah.
it's the cooler environment, right? Like people look at Tough Mudder and they see this non-competitive side of things where it's like, oh, it's about camaraderie and helping people over obstacles and just like finishing the race, right? But World's Toughest Mudder is a different story.
Yeah, there's a whole elite field in that.
Yeah, it's competitive. You get out there,
Yeah.
there's prize money, and there's glory at the end of the day, right? So I was like, cool, that sounds good to me, man. Trained for that. November rolls around and Josh finds his way out to Durango and he's like, dude, this is a cool like this place is amazing. You've got to come check it out. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll come and spend the final 2 weeks leading into the race out there. We'll
Was the
see what
race
it's
in
like.
Durango?
No, the race was actually in Laughlin, Nevada. But
Oh,
I
okay.
just like I'm just gonna go into the mountains and have a fight
Yeah.
camp at the end of the year,
Definitely.
and yeah, get ready for this thing. So came out here for 2 weeks, had a great time, loved the area, and we drove from here to Laughlin in Josh's van at the time,
Nice.
and we raced the event. And I remember like we all got a big Airbnb together, and the day before the event. So World's Toughest Mudder, for anybody who doesn't know, is Tough Mudder's ultra endurance event. It is a 24-hour race where you're on a
Wow.
5-mile loop, and the objective is to do as many loops as possible
Right.
in those 24 hours. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I remember the day before the race, I'm looking at Josh and I'm like, hey man, I'm really excited to go out there and try something like this for the first time. At this point I finished that 50 miler, I barely finished the 50 miler. But I got it done. That's the farthest I've ever
Yeah.
run. And I'm like, I'm really excited to go out there and get some experience, and I would love to come back here next year and be competitive. He looks at me, he's like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see you on the podium at the end of the day. I'm like, oh,
Like,
okay.
no pressure.
Yeah, totally. And he's like, just go out there, just run 100 miles. That's your goal, and everything will fall where it's supposed to fall. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I think I ended up overtaking third place like 23 hours into the race, who was a good friend of mine as well, Javier
Nice.
Escobar. Shout out Javier. He's a great dude. But yeah, I took over third place. and ended up finishing that race. I ran 105 miles in, it was like 23 hours and 55 minutes.
Oh,
And
wow.
if you start a lap before the 24-hour mark, you actually have until 25 and a half hours to finish the
Oh,
race.
cool. Okay.
Yeah, so there's like a little grace period. So I got out for my 110th mile, and it
Right.
was like 60 seconds to spare or something. I run the first mile and a half, and I see the first place like come in, run across the finish line with his kids, American flag wrapped around him, and I just kind of sat on the hill and like watched that unfold. I was like, man, that was pretty good, you know. And then a Jeep rolls past me, and it's somebody from the Tough Mudder HQ, and they're like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good, dude. I was just watching Mark come in, just kind of enjoying it. They're like, are you, you know, do you need help? And I'm like, nah, I'm good. They're like, okay, you're gonna finish? I'm like, I think so. You know, like, and I was like, actually, I don't know. I might be good. You know, like I'm the only person out here. It's like 90
Oh,
degrees.
wow.
We're in Laughlin, Nevada. Yeah, because I was the last person to start that lap. Like nobody
Oh,
was,
okay.
nobody did come behind me, but I
Yeah.
mean, you could have had 60 seconds to do so. I was like, I think I'm good. And like, okay, well, just so you know, if you come off course, you're disqualified. And I'm like, oh shit. All right. I was like, do I have to finish or like, what if time runs out? They're like, oh, no big deal. We'll come out and we'll find you. You're not disqualified if you don't finish the lap, but you are disqualified if you come off course before time runs out.
Ah, okay.
I'm like, all right, well, I'll start working my way to the finish line. Went like another mile or so and got to the one water station that was on course with an easy up. And I was like, honestly, I'm good. I told myself I was going to run 100. I ran 105. Again,
Yeah.
it's so hot out here. There's not a soul with me. I'm really satisfied with the day, and I just grabbed a
Yeah, I bet.
5-gallon jug of water and sat on the ground with a little Dixie cup and just drank that until, you know, like, and then whatever, half an hour, 40 minutes went by, and they came and picked me up on course. But I ended up snagging third place at that
Wow.
event, which was really exciting. My first shot at it. So
And there's a cash prize for 3rd place, isn't there?
yeah, I got $2,500 that year, decent.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. And then I looked at that and I went, man, like maybe I'm okay at this. You know,
Yeah, seriously.
I think I could do this. I just ran more than twice as far as I ever have. You
With
know,
a crap ton of obstacles.
with obstacles. Yeah, exactly. I was like, man,
How many obstacles did you say it was per loop?
I think it was close to 20, and I did
Okay.
20. I did just over 21 loops. So
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
yeah, 400
Yeah,
plus
whatever that is.
obstacles.
That's a lot of loops.
Yeah.
A lot of obstacles.
Yeah, you finish that race and you're crawling and again doing like overhead grip stuff and carrying things and
Oh my
you know
gosh.
your knees are all like skinned and my hands are blistered and
I
skinned
bet.
and just a mess, you know,
Yeah.
playing in the desert for a full day.
Gosh.
Yeah, but I
And
finished
then
that and I, you know, was like, well, man, like there's always another level of more, right? Like
oh, yeah.
I thought I went all in,
Right.
and so I had a sales job. I got this diverticulitis. You know, that kind of spun my world upside down. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
you know, I'm doing a sales call one day and I'm like, man, I got like every limb in my body has been to 90 degrees and I want to get good at, want to get good at running. And I'm just sitting in this car. I'm in this car for like 6 to 8 hours a day. This doesn't feel right. And this doesn't feel good. So what can I
Yeah.
do? I got my personal training certificate and I got a job in a local gym doing personal training and teaching group fitness classes.
Ah, okay.
And yeah, I did that for a couple years. I think that started in 2019. I did that up to 2021 after this race, and now I'm asking myself again, okay, like what else can I do? I want to be a good runner. I want to be a good
Yeah.
athlete. You know, and this is the one thing in my life that I feel like has the shortest shelf life as of right now, right? Like, you know, I mean, you only have so long to get good, right?
Yeah.
And then be good.
That's
So
true, yeah.
yeah, I want to go all in. Like, what does that look like? And finish that event, and I had a conversation with my girlfriend. We were just kind of like, I think she brought up, and she's like, "How bad do you want to go back to Durango?" And I was like more than anything, honestly. And she's like, "Well, let's do it." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, well, "Let's
Nice.
go." Yeah, let's go. Like, so that was November, and we were back out here in April the next year, living in a trailer with 12 other people, just making the thing work and
Nice.
chasing the dream. Yeah, so that was when I took athletics and coaching just full time.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome. And then
yeah.
so in 2022, you go back to the world's toughest mudder and have another different result. So tell us about that one real quick.
Yeah, 2022, they moved the race from Laughlin, Nevada to Atmore, Alabama. And I go back to the line, and I'm able to pull off the win in that one and run 105 miles again, significantly more fit, but the conditions were so much different in Laughlin,
It was
Nevada.
cold, right?
It was so cold, dude. It's so
Yeah,
cold.
'cause I think that's the same year is that the same year Chris Legrowski, got won the female in 2022?
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
she ran her 100 miles, being the first female
right.
to do so, which was
I just
really
had her on the podcast not too long ago, talked about
oh
that,
cool,
but, yeah,
incredible.
that's I watched some of that event, the 2022 one,
Yeah,
because I knew Chris and I knew she was there, and I just saw, like you said, everybody just comes across that finish line just absolutely destroyed in pieces, just blisters everywhere, just completely
yeah.
and utterly spent. It's an amazing feat of physical strength and endurance.
It really is. Honestly, that's one of my favorite events. I don't know, like it's a tough one to pass. There's just like
Yeah,
it's so cool, dude. There's so much that goes on to it, like on with it, and it's more than just a running race.
right,
There's so many aspects to it. But again, in Laughlin, I think it was like a high of about 90, and the low got to like 55. And in Atmore this year, it was supposed to be similar conditions. It was supposed to be more humid, right, being down in the southeast there. But a
right.
hurricane had blew through like the week before, and we ended
Oh,
up with a high of around 50 and a low of much closer to 30.
oh, wow.
So that year in 2022, I was in a wetsuit for 14 hours in that race.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, dude.
I can imagine with all those water obstacles, it would just be absolutely freezing. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
hypothermic.
Very much so. A lot of hypothermia that year, and yeah, I, I mean, I wasn't far from it. As soon as I crossed the
Yeah.
finish line, like looking pretty okay, still like ran every step of the race, and the second I like let my body be like, "Hey, we're done," it was over. Dude, just like locked up, couldn't,
Oh.
like a friend under each arm, all hunched over, dragging me to get to the restroom, and all that fun stuff that happens
Yeah.
post race. But
Oh, man,
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
mind the
yeah,
mind is a crazy thing. As soon as you hit that goal that you set or, you say it's over, it just shuts down the body
it's
and it's
over.
it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so
insane.
2022
So,
was a good year, and
y
again, like
yeah,
some cash prize for that. They've always like given out decent money at that event too, which is fun. But yeah,
yeah,
got my
seriously.
first like world championship title over there, and yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah,
And
moved on
what
from
time of
there.
year was that, for 2022? Was that also in November?
November.
Okay, November, okay.
Yeah,
So did then from 2022, I know you attempted the Colorado Trail FKT in 2023 as well. So did you do any other events leading up to that, or was it solely just after that you were like, "All right, I'm buckling down and I'm gonna do this Colorado Trail"?
yeah, I did events, but with the Colorado Trail at the forefront of my
Okay.
mind with anything I did. Yeah. I finished after 22. I told myself I was going back to World's Toughest Mudder, and I'm gonna go back and win again. After that year, I wanted to be the winningest athlete that's ever been at WTM. That's immediately where my
Yeah.
brain went. I was like, oh, cool. Like Ryan Atkins has 4 titles. I want five. That would be sweet. And I want to race him. I need him on the start line when I go back, you know? Um, but uh, throughout the year, they had started to pull prize money out, which wasn't like my deciding factor, but it started to take away the competition in the race. Like
Yeah, sure.
money brings really good athletes, and like
Yeah.
otherwise it has to just be something that calls to that person, which makes sense. Like
Yeah.
do what you want to do at the end of the day, right? But nobody was going to come. I'm not nobody. Like a lot of people still showed up to that race in 2023,
Sure.
but I wanted this like incredible field. Like I wanted the race, and I'm going to go back to be
Right.
WTM. I wanted the biggest,
Yeah,
most
you wanted to
intense,
go against the
highly
best and
competitive field
yeah.
that would have ever showed up. Right?
Yeah.
That faded, and now I'm like, okay, I need I need something else. It's like I think it was like the first 5 months of that year. I hung up my bib in front of the treadmill, and I just stared at that thing, and I was like, "World's toughest mother, baby, coming back." And
Yeah.
we get to like June, and I'm standing on the porch with Josh because I live with him at this point now, and I'm like, man, I don't think I want to go to WCM, and I got to find something else. And I had been talking about the CT since I moved to Durango because we lived two
Yeah.
miles from the trailhead.
Oh,
It's
nice.
right there. It's staring at me. I touch it. multiple times during the week, whether I go and actually run miles on it or I just do like a easy recovery run, just there and back, and just go
Yeah.
touch a trail and turn around, right? But it was always right there. And again, even when I first saw that ultra running was a thing in that hospital bed, I was like, I really like these ultra endurance events, these like really, really incredibly long
Yeah.
routes and races, right? And he goes, dude, do the CT, and I went, yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
like that is the right answer. You got it. So like that was like June or July, and we went after it at the end of September. So I put my head down for like 4-ish months, and we got out there and we tried, but 420 miles into my first multi-day effort, it became too much, and I called for an ambulance and got packed in the back and spent 2 days in the hospital with pneumonia and some
Oh
other
gosh.
symptoms that wanted to have them keep me there a little bit longer. But what pulled me off course is my lungs were just filling with fluids, and
Oh wow.
I couldn't do it anymore. I tried,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh man.
Yeah,
That sounds brutal.
it was
Yeah.
nasty. It's definitely the worst shape I've ever been in,
Oh,
ever, out of anything. I pushed to the absolute brink that time.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, what lessons did you learn from that you then applied to this year's attempt?
Um, I would say one of the most important things I learned in 2023 was to really control my environment leading in. There
Okay.
was a lot of other things happening in my life at that point outside of athletics that added to this daily stress. Um, and it's hard. It's like, hey, why did I get sick? I thought about that a lot after. I'm like, why did I get sick? It's like there's one. As soon as you start that thing, you're 24 hours in, your immune system's starting to drop,
Oh,
right?
sure.
So like,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, was I sick before I started? Did I catch something while I was out there? And I'm like, okay, the first thing I need to do is how to figure out how to stay healthy for a week while I push myself like this.
Right.
So I just like stayed in town. I really didn't leave my house for like, I mean, outside of like training. Like I tried to stay away from people and like the grocery store and
Oh, wow.
little things like that. Like I stopped going to
Yeah.
jujitsu just to be like,
Wow.
okay, just like I just don't want to be around
Be as healthy as you could. Yeah.
germs, I guess, right? Yeah. So that was one thing
Yeah.
I did. And then yeah, just stay relaxed and like keep my head in a good space.
Okay.
I also pushed it a little bit earlier in the year. We went in September in 2023, and when we did it this year, we went at the last week of August instead. So we did about a month earlier this
Ah,
time
okay.
around,
Did you experience
and
snow in 2023 because of that?
I didn't.
Okay.
um, but it was always on the forecast, even like the whole
Ah,
week
yeah.
leading into it, and that stressed me out so bad. I was having
Oh, I bet.
dreams the whole week leading in where I would wake up and I'd be like, "Oh my god, everything's covered in snow and I don't even have a chance to try now." And that was very stressful. And then when we were out there, it was cold.
Yeah.
We ran just like I think I started basically on the equinox. I might have started on like the 22nd or 23rd. So now we have less light than we have darkness,
Yeah.
and that ended up, being a factor. But I would finish some of those sections at night, and I would have ice on my mustache and beard, and I'd be like,
Oh,
okay.
wow. You get your frost
So,
beard.
yeah, exactly. So like all of these things, kind of like I'm like, okay, I feel like I could use some more light. I could use a little bit more warmer weather,
Yeah.
and I could definitely take the stress of the potential of snow out of the
Right.
equation, right? Yeah, so we went after it in August, and it's funny, like you said, did I get snow in 2023? I didn't even. I got rained on for like 30 seconds that whole time. You know,
Wow.
I
In
got really
23 or 24?
in 23. I got really
Okay.
lucky with the weather. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
Well, what
still got sick and yeah, had a hard time.
yeah. Well, what about training leading up to the attempt in 2024? Like what kinda I know you, like, went out and basically, did you do, like, a soft rock is what you did? The whole loop just over a couple of days, and,
Yep.
like, what kinda mileage were you doing, like, leading up, like, as a peak month
So
maybe or a part of
yeah,
this
yeah.
block?
So the peak block before this, I was able to string 5 weeks together, of averaging about 120 miles a week,
Oh, wow.
with I would say an average of like 25,000 feet of climbing, with the one outlier week where we did the hard rock course. We did soft rock, so we did 100, just over 100 miles with 33,000 feet of climbing, and I carried a 30-pound pack the whole time, right?
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah,
Y
all up at altitude.
Oh,
But yeah,
wow, yeah.
that was my peak training.
Okay. Well, I
Spending
like
almost 30 hours a week on feet.
wow, yeah, that's a lot of dedication. So during this time, were you still doing the, just full-time coaching was basically your sole employment or income at this time?
Yep, yep, yeah. Just
Okay.
coaching athletes and training. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. So that's all I've
So,
chosen to
that
make time for right now.
yeah. Now, so the logistical side of planning for an attempt like this, I mean, it takes most people that, if they're gonna backpack the Colorado Trail, how long is it gonna take them? Like, maybe 2 weeks?
Oh no way, dude! Like I want to say like 6 to 8.
Oh, really? Oh, wow,
Yeah,
okay. Alright. So
yeah.
6 to 8
It's
weeks.
almost 500 miles. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it averages 10,300 feet,
okay.
so it's all high. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, you go out there and if you're doing 20-mile days carrying stuff, and
That's true, yeah.
you're
It
doing some big miles, man. Yeah,
definitely. Lots of
yeah,
elevation too, yeah,
yeah. And most
so
people take the 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 majority of the summer to get it done.
yeah. So then logistically planning for this, knowing that, it takes a lot of people obviously you're trying to go fast. You're trying to go for the FKT, so you're planning for, 7 days, 8 days, 6 days, whatever it may be. But, like, logistically, how did you I mean, did you plan all of this yourself, or did your crew plan a lot of this for you, like, the logistics, or how did the whole team aspect come together and the planning for this?
Yeah, so I planned everything in 2023,
Okay.
and we ran it the exact same route in 2024. So we had an a good portion of my crew from that year came back to do it again this year.
Oh, nice.
So I had seen 420 miles of the trail.
Right.
50% of my crew have seen 420 miles of the trail. So they knew about the stops. They knew which vehicles we needed to go in. Like, do we need high clearance? Do we need four-wheel drive? Can we get the bus here? Like
Yeah.
little things like that, right? So we had experience this year, which is definitely, not even probably, which is definitely the most valuable thing that I've come to realize you need,
Right.
especially in these really long events. But yeah, I did a ton of planning in 23. Um, I did a bit of planning in 24, right? Like we still planned, but I want to say I even planned a little less this time around. I went, this has got to be on feel, you know.
Okay.
This needs less planning, I think, and um, yeah, that I feel like suited us, and then besides that, like it's the logistics that the crew has to do once we start,
Right.
everything that's going to change, all the roadblocks they're going to come across, like road closures, weather,
Right.
all this great stuff that they have to sort out when now I am just the race car going from point A to point B,
Right.
and they're doing pit stops and changing tires and gassing me up and all this
Yep.
stuff, and now all I got to do is follow these signs, and I barely have to do that because I had a pacer the whole way too,
Oh,
right?
nice.
I didn't do a single step of this trail alone.
Oh,
Not
wow,
one,
that's really
not
nice.
one step. Yeah, so I had somebody with me the entire way, and the pacing duties were like you muled, so you carried
Okay.
all of the gear, all of the
Nice.
snacks,
So
and
no 30-pound pack, you're
almost
just
all of the
carrying
water.
probably, like, some water bottles or something
I,
maybe.
I had a vest on still, like
Okay.
one just in case like something happens to the pacer and hey, I just need to take the essentials and keep going, like we all
Right.
kind of knew that at the start, but also like two soft flasks up front and that was it. Maybe like
Nice.
poke me and be like, hey, it's been 20 to 30 minutes, eat something, hey, eat again, hey, yeah. But yeah, and then keep me on trail, it's just like, hey
Yeah.
dude, just like keep going, this is way more of a team effort than I think anybody
Yeah.
can really understand unless you go out there and do it. But yeah,
How
the
big
unsung
how big
heroes at
was
the end
your
of the day
team?
is the crew. I think it ended up being a total of 14 or 15 of us.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
That's a big
And
crew, that's nice to have.
yeah, it seems like it, right? But like talking to a couple other people who have done it, I'm pretty sure we had the smallest crew out
Really?
of, yeah, yeah. It's just like, I mean, it's hard to get, you know, people out
Well,
there.
pacers for that long too. I mean, you must have had probably what, 7, 8 pacers or more probably?
Yeah, I want to. So I had three friends of mine who paced from like start to finish, right, with lots of breaks between. Obviously, like
Right.
they would do like a 20-mile section and then be off for 15 to 20 hours and then do 20 or 30 more miles kind of deal, right?
Okay.
But three of them started with me, and then just a few folks jumping in along the way. We had the main pacers and crew do everything until we got into like the Salida area, which is about halfway. So
Okay.
between those three folks, we got about halfway through the trail. And then I
Wow.
had two friends from that Salida area hop in and they did a 70-mile chunk with me. Like one
Nice.
person did 30, one person did 40. And then we got through that. So now the crew had, close to 24 hours off, maybe a little bit over. And now they jump back in and start doing some sections. And then after that, I had, I think, just like two or three more, angel pacers hop in and just do like
Yeah.
some sections here and there. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. So, excuse me. So for anyone that doesn't know, just give us the stats of the Colorado Trail. How, like, what's the total mileage, the route you went? You went, was it west to east, right? And what is the like total elevation gain?
yeah. So the Colorado Trail, the route I did it, I went west to east, which is Durango to Denver. It is 487 miles with 90,000 feet of elevation gain and elevation loss.
Okay, and so what is the high point of the course?
13,270.
Wow. Yes,
Yeah.
you're in the Alpine, you're above tree line for a lot of that probably, and like you said,
Oh
the
my
average
God.
is what, 10.3?
10-3. Yeah. Yeah. So you
Wow.
start in Durango at 6.5. You immediately in the first 20 miles, you climb up to like 12. And then you
Wow.
kind of hang out between like, I would say like 10 and 11 for a long while until you get, you know, through the first big bit of the San Juans. And then you climb up and you connect with the Continental Divide Trail at the top of
Okay.
Stony Pass, somewhere around mile 90. And then you just kind of float at 12. I think you then have like a 30-ish mile section on this just like high rolling plain, where you're up above 12,000 feet, right?
Wow.
And
Man.
it's the most exposed bit of the entire trail. And Josh was running that with me, and we got some nasty weather while we were out
Oh,
there. The
man.
San Juans is just notorious for thunderstorms, lightning
Yeah.
storms, right?
Oh,
And we had to deal with some some
yeah.
less than ideal conditions when you're the tallest
Yes.
object,
When you're above
yeah,
tree line, yeah,
out
that's
there.
pretty scary.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's start on day 1. So, like,
Okay.
what time of day did you start? And leading up to that, like, did you get a good night's sleep beforehand?
Yeah, so I started at 8:11 a.m. on Saturday, and I slept just fine the night before,
Oh,
honestly.
nice,
Like,
good.
yeah, um, I historically do, knock on wood, find stuff. I've
Yeah, that's
had a
good, yeah.
Yeah, totally. But I don't know. Like you put in the work, and it's like, what do you have to worry about, right? Like
Yeah,
it
you
is
got the
what it is.
confidence, right.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I checked every box I possibly could have checked.
Yeah,
you know, but slept fine. Started 8:11 a.m. I start with my buddy Austin moving from the Junction Creek Trailhead here, and we get up to Kennebec, which is the first crew stop at about 21 miles. And we've had a good morning. Overcast. You can see like some clouds rolling in, and it's monsoon season out here. And it
yeah,
lingered a little bit longer than it was supposed to, right? We were supposed to have like historically in the area scattered monsoons of sorts,
right.
right? Not these like continuous daily beatings in the middle of the afternoon. But I'm looking at the weather before we take off, and geez, it just says thunderstorms as far as it'll show you, And I'm like, well, it is what it is, Like I can't push it back forever, Like
Right.
we gotta get going. And sometimes it'll forecast, 80% chance of lightning storm, and it'll just never happen,
Yep, it's
right?
Colorado.
So yeah, we just gotta go. So we get to Kennebec, and you can see the storms like rolling in a little bit, but we're still in good shape. And then I got my friend Meg who jumps in there, and we get up on one of the most beautiful parts of the trail very early on called Indian Ridge. And we finally start to get our first little bit of rain. Raincoats come on, but it's just like a little sprinkle, but we're up high. And I'm like, hey man, as good as this looks, let's not overstay our welcome. Let's get the heck off this
Right.
thing. Yeah, and we get from there on, it's it's like light rain for the rest of the day, just on and off. Nothing too
Oh,
crazy.
man.
Yeah, very very manageable at this point. And then it was just shortly after dark. Now I'm running with my friend Meredith, and you could see it starting to like really come on, like right before sunset there. It wasn't hitting us yet, but we're like, it's gonna storm. It's gonna storm
Yeah.
tonight. Like
Yeah.
let's just be ready. And we're going up and over Bolin Pass, and it's not raining at this point, but it's just this thick, dense fog where we probably had 5 feet of visibility
Oh,
for
wow.
for a very long time. And at that point, like that's where I was wearing a waist light on as opposed to a headlamp,
Right.
and it's like a fog light. So it's actually really good because if it with the fog that thick, that
Oh,
beam
yeah.
on the headlamp is just like blinding, right? You can't even see
Right.
much, so it's not super helpful. Got through that, and then for the rest of the night, just on and off scattered showers. Nothing too crazy, but dense fog and light rain. I start with Josh at Molis Pass, just after mile 70 or so, and it's about 4 a.m. and him and I get rolling out of there. So we just roll right through the first night because that was one other thing I changed from last year is I got to that Molis Pass and I was like, cool, 70-ish miles in, 21 hours in, I'm gonna sleep for 3 or 4 hours, and I just lay there with my eyes shut for like two
Oh,
hours.
man. Yeah.
Didn't sleep at all, and was like, man, all right, guys, let's just get going. Um, so this year, I told myself I'm just going to go until my body says, "Dude, you gotta sleep. It's
Yeah.
it's time. You're tired, right?" Like I wanted to get there. So when I did try to put the time into sleep, it was valuable
Right.
because
Yes. You were listening to the body.
yeah, after in 2023, I ended up not sleeping for over 48 hours due to just not sleeping that first night because I did
Oh,
that, and then
wow.
I went into the next night and like finally was able to get some rest when I laid down. But then I'm like, just it didn't seem like the right move.
Yeah.
Trying to plan these sleep stations as I had kind of phrased them at that time. But
Right.
yeah, so Josh and I this year, we start out at Molis Pass, and we've got a pretty good morning. We're climbing up to meet Stony Pass at the Continental Divide. And I think on the way up there, I ended up like stopping and taking like a 10 or 15 minute trail nap,
Okay,
like
nice.
right as the sun was like about to come up, which it never actually came out, which was unfortunate because I hadn't seen it since the start of this thing at this point.
Oh,
And,
man.
you could see it rise, it's getting lighter. And I'm like, oh, come on. Yeah, nice. The sun's about to rise any second. We'll be full of energy and life and ready to go. And it never, the clouds
Just
never gave.
overcast the whole time.
Clouds
Oh,
never
man.
gave, dude. And it started to break up a little bit. So you just get like a beam of sunshine would just like blast over you real quick and then be
Yeah.
gone in a few seconds. But we start out pretty good day. We get up to Stony or just before Stony, and like a close to a mile out or so, the pacer was running ahead, just preparing the pack
Right.
so we would be
Yeah.
ready to go, right? And like right before Josh is getting ready to take off, I'm like, man, my Achilles is kind of like bugging me a little bit. It's like
Oh,
it's
no.
it's kind of feeling tight, you know. But I was like, we just got to get to the next crew stop and we'll sort it out, I guess, right? It's like shouldn't be too bad. But by the time I got there, it was excruciating. It like
Oh,
blew up,
gosh.
within a few miles, and I limped my way into this aid station, 90 miles into this 500-mile effort. My my mind is
Oh, I
getting a
can
little bit
imagine.
there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I got 400 miles to go, and I got an ankle that's already pissed. Like my Achilles hurts. It hurts bad.
Right.
I'm like, I had no warning signs in training. I haven't had an Achilles issue in many years. Like I've had other things pop up here and there, but this is not what I expected.
Right.
Talking to the crew, like, I haven't actually slept, and we're over 24 hours into this thing. I took that little nap, a little bit, but I remember the ground being just like a little cold in that morning,
Yeah.
and we didn't, not like an actual mat to lay down in. So you lay down on the trail and the
Right.
ground just sucks the heat out of you, right? So, like, not
Yes.
real sleep by any means there either.
Certainly
Um,
not restful, no.
no, no, not at all. Yeah, so we're like, okay, cool. Like, let's just put you down again on. They blew up a mat real quick. Let's just lay you down for like 15 more minutes. Put your legs up. We'll massage your calf, right? Like, let's do a few things and see if we can mitigate this and get you back out there.
Right.
Woke up after the massage and all this, and like, it still sucks. Like,
Oh, gosh.
it's no better, but at that point, I'm like, okay, well now I have to make a decision, right? Like you either go or you don't go.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You have two things. You're either going to continue to move forward or you are not. So I'm like, okay, let's just go. If it's going to stop me, it'll find a way, and it'll stop me. But it hasn't yet. It hurts, but hey, man, I'm still going. So we get
Still
out of
moving.
there. Yeah. And then just, reluctantly progress and push forward out of there. And it hurts real bad, and it kind of sucked for that whole, next 30-ish mile section when we're going
Oh
through all that high
gosh.
stuff. And now the weather comes in. My gut ended up turning on me where
Oh no.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't actually put anything in. Anything I put in my stomach would really start to make me upset. I didn't actually get sick, you know,
Okay.
but it
But
just
just that
felt like,
feeling.
dude, it felt like a rock.
Oh,
Everything I ate just like felt like this like brick inside of me. So I took a few hours off of eating, which is not ideal in an
no.
event like this. Yeah, it's a running race and it's an eating
Right?
contest, and
Yeah.
now my Achilles isn't functioning properly. I'm not eating, and we're going through these thunder and lightning storms up in the high country. We get through it, whatever, not too bad. Josh and I do that section, or we got one good story. We get to a stop called Carson Saddle, and when we're up on this high mesa here, there's just like a lightning storm right behind us, and we're moving at like the exact same speed as it seems. And it's just like lightning and thunder all around us.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey man, like I guess this is a pretty good spot to burn a match. Like let's get to the truck and off of this, 12,500 foot
Right,
mesa
seriously.
while the storms are coming. We hop in the truck, and then you can just see this like black black cloud off in the distance just starting to develop, and it was very small but dense. And we're in the truck, and Josh is like, hey man, let's just like keep an eye on this one real quick. We're in shelter, let's use the
Yeah.
shelter. And like 10 minutes later, this thing floats right over the high point of the trail, that like 13-2 section, and it is the nastiest lightning storm
Oh
any of us
gosh.
have ever seen. But we just waited out in the truck, and my buddy's got Starlink there, and he's like, you got an hour window to get out of here before the next one rolls in. I'm like, all right, let's
Oh
go.
man.
Yeah, so we hop out of the truck, we take off, and we get up on the over the high section, and there isn't you can see the next storm developing again. You're like, oh man. I look at Josh, I'm like, how you feel about this? He goes, not very good. I'm like, yeah, same. Okay, like let's get the heck out of here. We
Yeah.
would kind of like be hiking pretty good, and then huge crack of thunder, and start jogging a little bit. Like, okay, all right, let's get
Oh
out of here.
man.
Because again, this was just like another flattish section. Now we're up around 13,000 feet, but we get through it. We find our way to the bus. Josh's bus was meeting us at like these major road sections, and I
Yeah.
crawl in. And I actually get like my first real sleep there about 130 miles into this thing.
How many
And,
hours was that into it?
mm, and trying to think off the top of my head, but we are close to 48 hours
And
at
that
this
was your
point.
first real sleep.
First real sleep, yeah, real
Wow.
sleep, yes. So we took 8 a.m. for so this is probably very close to 40 hours
Okay.
when we got here, because I got out of there about 5 a.m. and
Okay.
I was down for 3 hours.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, like down. And it's funny, like um, I was just having anxiety about not being able to sleep from not being able to sleep the year before. And I guess I would wake up, and I'd look at somebody and be like, I can't sleep. And like, bro, you were snoring. You
Oh
were
man.
snoring. Go to bed. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I feel like I've just been awake here this whole time.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, you're asleep. Go back to bed. So I'm like, okay, all right, I've been sleeping. Like, please just put it between my ears. I've been asleep. This is restful. I've been asleep. You know.
Nice.
But yeah, we get out of there, and I take off with my buddy Austin the next morning about 5 a.m. And it's like same old story. We start hiking, and we're like, cool, the sun, it's about to come up, and it's just overcast, dude, all goddamn
Oh
day.
man.
Where we're hiking through some pretty thick fog again. And I mean, we didn't actually really get any weather, but I haven't been out. Like at this point, I'm in wool top and bottom. I'm in
Oh
a
man.
puffy jacket, and I've got hard rain shell over the top and rain pants on and a beanie, and I'm
Oh
just like,
gosh.
yeah, my buddy's like, "You look like you just
Cold.
got off of a you just look like you got off of a fishing barge of some sort," you know?
Yeah.
Like, um, yeah, so Austin, and then this section, at Spring Creek, you climb back down to about 10, and then he and I climb back up over 12 again, and you kind of float, and you're doing that same thing for like the next 30-ish miles. The last like really, real long sustained bit of high country, and you go over San Luis Pass, and we start to come down into Eddiesville, and it's like an 8 mile descent,
Oh, wow.
just like nice and gradual. Yeah, I was looking forward to it. And as soon as we started to come downhill, the clouds just like broke open and started to show me some sunshine. Which,
Nice.
man, I just remember being like, I like felt it hit my face, and I was like, oh, it's so good. I started like take off my raincoat, take off the rain pants, and I was finally like just in like my leggings and uh, a shirt again. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
like just feels so good to let my skin breathe
Oh, I bet.
after after over 48 hours of not really
Just
not
like,
seeing
yeah, being
not
wet
seeing sun,
basically.
being wet, being cold with no sunshine.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was but after that we had great weather for the remainder of the trail,
Nice.
but it took 2 days to get out of it, which was
Yeah,
bad. It's
seriously.
like, yeah.
So then from that pass, you get that 8-mile descent down, and so is this day 2 still, or would this be day 3?
So this is still day two.
Okay. And was this just like a regular
Wait,
quick crew
wait,
stop at the
no,
bottom
no,
of this
no.
pa
So we are now day three. It gets
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
First 24 hours was jammed in there before sleep. Got to sleep. Yeah,
Right,
like
yes, yep.
40-ish hours, and so now we're in day three.
In day 3, right,
We're in
okay.
day three. Yeah, totally.
And so was this 8-mile descent when you get to the bottom, there was a crew spot. Was this like a place
Mhm.
you slept, or did this just quick change and head on out?
Yeah, so I actually ended up just I think I ended up taking like another just like 5 or 10 minute nap there. Like they would almost always have like just the map blown up for me. You know,
Right.
not always in sight because it's like
That's a
you
good
always, you
crew, it's a good crew,
you
yeah.
kind of want any excuse you possibly can at times.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I think I took like a quick 10-minute nap, ate some food, and then we got back out. And now I feel good because we've done all of the real high country stuff. I'm at least I have like a marathon of easy moving trail, close to
Nice.
10,000 feet. I think in that 27 miles, we did like almost 3,000 feet of climbing,
Oh, nice, yeah.
which is nothing, dude. Like at
Yeah.
this point, we've done 20,000 feet or like, oh, more than that, whatever it is. I think in the first 24 hours, we did like 18,000 feet of climbing, right?
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good, and unfortunately that night it's like in Saguache Park. It's like some back dirt roads and a little bit of trail, but it's like cow country. It's just like,
Okay.
yeah, cow fields and farming roads, right? And there was an intersection that wasn't marked, and it was a road, and we didn't really know exactly what to do, but unfortunately we made the wrong decision on that turn.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and we added just like close to 3 miles
Oh,
total,
wow.
so a little over a mile in the wrong direction. Again, at least it was like easy moving terrain, but man, it still hurts your
Oh, yeah.
heart and head.
Absolutely.
You don't want any extra miles when you're doing almost 500.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
yeah, so that kind of sucked, and like that wasn't the only time suck that came out of that. Not just the extra miles, but like the debauchery of where do we actually go. It turned into, okay, hey, I'm gonna leave the pacer bag with you. Just like sit with it. I'm gonna run a little bit this way. I'm gonna see if a trail marker pops up. If it doesn't, either way I'm gonna come back, but we'll know if that's the way to go.
Oh, man.
They ran, the pacer ran a half a mile in that direction, come
Right.
back, and they're like nothing. I'm like, well, all right, let's turn around. So we
Uh,
start trudging back. So I mean, it
how
ended
much
up it
time
cost.
do you think it cost you?
It's really hard to say, but I would give it, between like the 3 miles. I averaged 2.9 over the course of the whole thing, so call that an hour. Um, and I probably sat around that bag, and we went back and forth for a good hour. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
call it 2, you know?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah, yeah. But we got through it. We stayed pretty calm. We figured it out, you know, like
Right.
I got uh excited, right? Like not like expressively excited by any means, but you know, like you it doesn't feel good, you know?
No.
Yeah. And we just kind of looked at each other and we're like, hey, we know where to go. Let's go. I'm like, back to work, you know, like it is what it is. It happened. It's behind us. And man, I could sit here and be pissed about it all day and
Right.
waste as much time as I want to.
No, yeah, waste your energy and stress yourself out. No, just
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah. But if I'm going to cover these 500 miles, I still have, you know, over 300 to go. So we better get moving.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how did day 4 go then for you?
Day 4, it was okay. It was it was kind of challenging because day 2 being up high, not eating, all the storms, I put myself in a little bit of a hole.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I think so. Let's just put it in perspective. The first day, I probably ate between like you know probably around 8,000 calories. Just a
Mhm.
guess, our guess between like everything I ate. Day 2, I think I ate like close to 3,000 calories.
Oh my gosh.
So nothing,
Yeah.
zero, you know, absolutely zero. You know, and even the 8,000 like isn't covering what we're burning at that point, right?
Right.
Um, yeah, so then day 3, I'm in a hole, you know, and I felt it, and it became challenging. Like that going through that flatter section wasn't too bad. I didn't it didn't hit me yet, but we got through that, and night rolled around, and my Achilles still hurts a little bit. Um, it was weird. It eventually, the pain went away entirely,
Oh,
almost. Like it
good.
would come back in like a twinge here and there, but it swelled up like I've never seen my Achilles swell before. It was like I had
Oh,
a
wow.
hog going down the back of my leg, dude. Yeah, it got super puffy and lost like a
Oh,
little
man.
mobility, but the pain stopped for whatever reason it was, right? But as we're finishing that section a couple miles out, I start to get some pain in the front of my ankle, like anterior tibialis stuff.
Oh, no.
So now, like heel to toe drop walking is starting to get really, really uncomfortable. We finish that section. It kind of builds quite a bit. We do the same thing. I jump in the bus, put my legs up a little bit, get a little massage going on, and we take off again. And it's Josh and I. Josh jumps back in at this point. By the way, he covered a ton of miles. By the end of the
It
stint,
sounds like it, yeah.
he did 180 miles with me with the
Oh,
pack.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
total monster. Yeah, you need good friends out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but we start and it's like 11 p.m. or so, and we have a 20-ish mile section to get to Sergeant's Mesa, where I'm likely going to sleep. You know, if kind of things continue to go the way they're going,
Yeah.
that's what we're all you know assuming. We get through the majority of that pretty well, but as it starts to get much later, I all of a sudden like I start to crumble mentally, kind of
Oh, no.
like mentally slash physically. Like I didn't get like upset or anything, but like I would look at a rock and I'd be like, gonna step over that rock, you know, and I would kick it, dude. And I'm like, come on.
Oh,
Like, all right,
man.
there's another rock, definitely not gonna kick that rock. Gonna step over that rock this time and just kick it. And I'm like, dude, like I just can't get
Oh,
my body to do the things that I want it to do. I can't get like yeah, I've got ideas and I feel
right.
okay, but yeah, it's just like the sleep debt I think was really starting to come on, you know, and the
Yeah.
lack of calories and the mental battle I went through with the Achilles, and then the mental battle I went through with the front of my ankle at that point, where I'm like, man, like it's so early. Why am I having mechanical issues so early?
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect it, and it hurt my feelings, you know.
I bet,
Sucks,
yeah.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, I mean, we eventually get through that section. It's not the worst section. Like we move the whole time, but I'm like, dude, I want to sleep so bad. Like I just want to lay here. But again, it was cold. You know, it's the middle of the night. We're up high now.
Yeah.
We're like getting back to 12,000 feet again. We're getting close to it. And if I every time I lay down on the ground at night, it just sucks the life out of me, dude. Like
Right.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Um, so we finish off that section. We get to Sergeant's Mesa. The sun had just come up at this point, so we got to watch the sun rise.
Oh,
And
nice.
then, yeah, it was always nice. It, it always, it does always provide life. It
Yes,
always feels
absolutely.
good. It's, you know, it's it alleviates a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And like after a little bit of thinking after the fact, I'm realizing the nights are hard. It's dark, dude, and you're just like you're just in this bubble of light, just like what you can see with your headlamp and your waist light, and you don't have the cool views to like keep you engaged, like nothing, just like you got this beam staring and creating a hole in the darkness.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to that's challenging after so many hours. That's
Oh,
all,
I can imagine. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like sleep depth, light depth, like you're deprived, you're deprived,
Yeah, seriously. Everything.
yeah, totally. But yeah, I get to sleep, and I ended up going down for 2 hours there, and we get up and we start moving around again. And I'm like, I'm not the happiest person at this point, to be totally honest. That night was really hard, which kind of carried over to the morning, just like in between the ears a little bit, not too
Yeah.
bad. But starting to get ready and eating stuff, and a couple bikers pass by and they're talking to the crew about what we're doing, and through hiker rolls through, and another through hiker, like just as I'm like tying up my shoes and getting ready to go, and the second through hiker comes by, and he asks what's happening, and they talk for a while, and he starts to leave, and he stops and turns around at one point, and he goes, like, directed at me, and he goes, "Hey, I just want you to know there is a version of you that finishes this thing and has the record," and just turns and leaves, and I'm like, he's very right, and I can see like
Yeah.
what that looks like, and I'm not stoked about it. Like I am hurting really bad right now, and
Oh, man.
there is a version that gets this thing done, and he's got a lot more decisions to make,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to actually do this right. But I mean, I thought about that little happy Buddha walking down the trail
Right,
so
seriously.
many more times. Or at that point, we had like just broken 200 miles,
Okay.
and like almost 300 to go. But there's yeah, almost 300 to go still, right? Yeah, and
Wow.
just thought about him a few times out there when stuff was tough, and I'm like, there's a version that gets this done, and what does that person have to do right now? Okay, do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, do that,
Just
do that,
1
do
mile
that
at a
thing.
time.
Yeah, one. Yeah, it's just so many little decisions to make along the way. Like the first one was the Achilles, where I'm like, just gotta go, and like see what happens. And then it's like the AT, I'm like, just gotta go and see what happens, and it's like, yeah, if the
Yeah.
body's actually gonna fall apart and break down, like so be it at this point, right? Like I've thought about this for the last year and a half, and I'm here to put my heart and soul into it, and yeah,
Yeah, you're in
it's
it.
so many little micro decisions to just say, hey,
Yeah.
like, are you moving or are you not moving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, like, how did days 4 and 5 go? Were they kinda the same, or was it getting any better, or was just, you had the better weather, so was the mood improving at all?
Yeah, so day 4 is like a little bit more of the same. Um, that coming out of Sergeant's Mesa after that little trail magic, we
Yeah.
move okay, and I start running again, like jogging some downhills, like hiking some uphills pretty good, and then for whatever reason, as soon as I finished that section and I got to the next crew stop, I boxed myself in. I like shut down. Like I was like, I don't want to eat. I don't want help. I don't want anything. Like
Oh, man.
yeah, it's just having a hard time. And I like
Yep.
sat there and they're like with a spoon in front of my face, like eat this, and I like eat like a quarter of the spoon and look away, and I'm like, and they're like, all right, we blew up the mat. Go lay down, and like they put me down for 10 minutes again. I got up, and then I was able to eat a little bit more when I woke up, and it, I didn't want to go at that point, honestly. I was
Yeah.
like, man, I was just like, in my head, I'm like, can someone say, hey, do you want to stop? Like,
W
anybody gonna offer me an out? No,
Right,
okay,
somebody give you permission, right.
yeah, no. So they're like, come on, like let's go, we have to go. I'm like, okay, and like I shuffle away like as slowly as I possibly can, and I do hurt, but I'm also just like in my head, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I'm shuffling away at this, and I'm like, guys, I'm gonna go. Like, Josh, get the bag ready. I'm just gonna start. Like you'll reel me in, dude. Not a big deal. And me and my girlfriend walk away, and we start to move, and we get out of like the trail parking lot and on the trail. And she's like, okay, bye, and hug and a kiss. And then I like walk another 10 yards or whatever. And I turn back around. I'm like, can I have another hug, please? And he comes up and he hugs me, and I like just break down, dude, like
Oh, man.
in a puddle of tears on her shoulders. And that was exactly what I needed, you
Right,
know?
yeah,
It was just like a release. I was like,
definitely.
I was like, I said it out loud. I was like, this is so hard.
Yeah.
This is so hard. And she's like, yeah, I know. It was supposed to be. We knew it was gonna be. And I'm like, yeah, we did. I was like, fire inside of me. I was like, yeah, all right,
Right.
I'm gonna go get this, And I was like, I'll see you later. I love you. Bye. And
So
I
she
take
was
off, and
exactly what you needed right there.
yeah, exactly, 100%.
Yeah.
And I keep cruising. I see the crew through the trees. I like hoot and holler, like just like bring myself up a little bit. Yeah, and after that, that was a turning of the page, and we stayed in pretty good spirits, except
Nice.
for a few situational events. But yeah, that was the turning point where it was like, okay, let's turn it on. Like I want this still,
Yeah.
about halfway through.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And then but that was day 4, so then did day 5 kinda go the same way where you had that fire again and you were ready to go?
Yeah, so we left that section at Marshall Pass, and we got to Highway 50 where my friends in Salida were going to jump in here, right? So this is the night, and my buddy Justin Walker hops in, and yeah, we start moving. We move pretty good. I was just like, "Hey, man, like, just get in front of me and go. I'll just lock in on your heels, and you get us to where we have to go. Like,
Yeah.
it's dark. I'm tired, and I'm just gonna watch your heels, and I'm just not gonna let them disappear. But by the end of that, I remember like we come in after. Oh, we ended up sleeping at the next stop there. I went down for like another 2 hours, um, and we wake up, and then we've got like another like 20-ish miles before this dude hops out, and I get into that next crew stop with like we're both like laughing and smiling and having
Nice,
a good time.
nice.
I sit down, my buddy's like, "You gonna eat?" And I'm like, "Dude, I got no choice. Like whatever you made, just like send it to me." He's like, "Ah, nice, you've made it." Like yeah. But yeah, feel good, man. And then my buddy Dolan jumps in there, and we finish that section to cover the collegiate east portion of the route.
Okay.
And yeah, in pretty good spirits. And I hop in with my buddy Austin at Clear Creek, and we get us to Twin Lakes. You know,
Nice.
yeah, yeah, just after dark, and that went pretty well. It's a little bit of the Leadville 100 course we get
Yep,
to see,
yep.
and
I've
Twin
been on
Lakes
that
is
part, yeah.
absolutely beautiful. That whole spot is amazing. Um, yeah, yeah, we got there. We did pretty good, and we got to Marshall. No, 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 no. Sorry, not Marshall Pass. I'm losing the names of
It
them
would've
now a
been
little
after
bit.
Twin Lakes then.
Yeah, the stop after Twin Lakes. Um, oh, Mount Massive Trailhead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yep,
okay.
yep. So we get to the Mount Massive Trailhead where I lay it down again. So this is 70-ish miles past that last stop I laid. Um, and after that, like pretty good day, I wake up. So we've decided on, hey, you're gonna sleep for when you go down. We're gonna try to put you down in the latest hours of the night, and you're gonna sleep for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. It's like it's 2 hours. That's the name of the game for the rest of the effort here. I sleep for 2 hours. I wake up, and I've woken up a few times and coughed up like a couple of you know less than desirable like bits,
Yeah.
lots of phlegm. Like when we were at Sergeant's Mesa, it got pretty phlegmy, and there was like a little blood in it, and it was probably
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
the blood's like from just dry nose, and it's so dry up
Yeah.
there. Even with all the weather we went through the first couple of days, as soon as it stops, it's just like sucks all the moisture out of you.
Right.
But wake up this day again, now it's a little worse, and I'm starting to remember what happened in 2023. I'm like, oh man,
Right.
this is the beginning of the end. And that was probably my worst uh, morning on the trail out of the whole thing, where I was like, I don't want to go again. I don't like. I
Yeah.
remember like breaking down a little bit and looking at my crew and like, dude, what's up? I'm like, I don't want to get sick like I did last year. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I don't want to have I don't want to spend 2 days in the hospital and then 2 weeks in my bed,
Seriously, yeah.
like spitting
With the
into a cup.
pneumonia again, right.
Yeah, like I don't want to. And they just reinforced it to me, like, listen, dude, like at this point last year, you you weren't even close to looking as good as you do right now. Like I know you don't feel good and like you've got some symptoms, right? But like that's what you're doing. You know, like
Yeah.
we believe in you. Like get up and go. Like you
Nice.
go, you know? And I was like, all right, trust you guys, like
Yeah.
cool, let's put my shoes on.
Yeah, you
We
had a
got
good
out,
crew.
yeah. Oh dude, yeah, it's like it's so important.
Definitely.
It's so incredibly important. But yeah, and like that was like the second turning of the page where I'm out there with my pacer Shane now, and he looks at me, he's like, hey, did you like give yourself permission to say I'm gonna go do this yet? And I was like, yeah, yeah, like so we were chasing the overall record, right? Which
Right,
got
yeah.
set this year in June, and that was 6 days and 15 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that came off the table at this point.
So you
It
were
was
into day 6 already then, right?
so this is yeah, this is the start of day 6.
Okay.
Yep, yep. Yeah, so it's it's very very unlikely.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, but I'm still chasing. There's the directional record that just got set by Jeff Browning. So just the
Yep.
Durango to Denver record now, right? So just one more quick anecdotal bit here, right? So the Colorado Trail goes east to west or west to east, and it
Right.
has the collegiate loop through the center,
Right.
right? So there's technically 4 variations of this route. So I
Yeah.
went west to east, collegiate east. So that was
Okay.
one record. That's Mike McKnight. He had it at like 7 days and 13 hours. And then just a few days before this, now Jeff Browning set the West East Collegiate West route.
Okay.
Um, so in my brain, I just want the overall West to East,
Okay.
despite the variation in the middle there, right? So now that's what we're chasing. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we're into the morning of day 6, and I'm like, all right, and like we still need to keep some like a dangle a carrot here, right?
Right,
And
definitely.
yeah, like let's go get this west to east record. And moved great again. Had a really good day. Um, we had the final high section of the route, our last time going up over 12,000 feet coming at the end of the day here. We're going to go up and over
Nice.
Kokomo Pass and like down into Breckenridge, into Copper Mountain. And we got up to the top of Kokomo. We got to see like just a very hard to beat sunset,
Oh,
up
nice.
up above 12,000 feet again. And yeah, just like
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful country out there, man. So
Little
I got to
reward for
see
all
so
that
many
hard
cool
work
things.
you're doing.
Yeah, moved good during that day. And yeah, got into Copper Mountain, and unfortunately, at that point, we had to have a pacer. Just like wasn't ready. They just tired or whatever it was. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly what the case was, but was not ready to cover the next 20-mile section we had to
Oh,
do.
no.
So we called in an emergency favor, and my buddy Marshall actually drove down, a couple hours from Denver in the middle of the night and did the last section of the night with me there.
Oh, wow.
Uh, yeah, good friends,
Yeah, seriously.
that continues to be the theme of this.
Good
And that was
friends
another,
and stupid friends because they're out there doing the crazy stuff too.
yeah, yeah, that's funny. My buddy Dolan, who's doing the like collegiate section with me, he's like, man, who needs enemies when you got friends like this?
Exactly.
He's like, man, you got some stupid people out here, man. I'm so happy you're one of them.
Right.
Yeah. But that section with Marshall started out great, and it ended up being like a really hard couple of finishing miles with it. And it's just like that like block in the middle of the night where again it's just like you can't see anything. Dude. It's just like it's consuming. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you get tired, the sleep debt really starts to kick in. It's like the last moment your body wants to be awake. It's always darkest right before the dawn here, and it was like another bit of the same thing where I was going up sergeants where I could see I started to like stumble a little bit and kick rocks and kick roots. And I'm like, all right, stop tripping, like take your time, step over that rock, kick the rock. And I'm like, no,
Oh,
not,
man.
dude, not again. So I look at him and I'm like, okay, I'm like starting to have a hard time. Um, can I just have a little bit of caffeine? And I think I took like 50 milligrams of caffeine,
Yeah.
and for like the next half an hour, I'm doing the same stuff and just like kicking rocks, kicking roots. And then the caffeine finally starts to kick in a little bit. And my brain comes back online a little bit better. And we're able to finish that section and just get to the bus and sleep.
Nice.
And I'm like, went down for the final 2 hours of the effort at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the end of day
The
6.
final push.
The getting ready for the final push. Yeah, so we get to the bus at yeah, with 100 105 miles to go,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, 105 to go, and we start at like just before, like basically right at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Um, at the yeah, so no, so this is technically the start of day 6. Sorry, I'm getting the time all yeah botched a little bit, but yeah, so this would be the start of day 6 to push us into day 7. Yeah,
Yeah, and you did that all
yes.
that last bit in one final push, basically?
Yeah, we did the last 105 miles in 28 hours.
Oh, wow. That's really
Yeah.
impressive. 6 days in to be that's wow, that's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
I rallied. I rallied at this. I had a really
I'd
good
say
first
so.
day. I had some problems in the middle of it and got into a pretty big hole and just like clawed my way out
Right.
to the end. And you can smell the finish. 105 miles doesn't seem like anything after you've done 400, right? And yeah, I just still wanted it. Still wanted to work. And got out there with Josh again, and we started off the day and moved okay. Woke up in the morning, coughed up everything I had to cough up,
Yeah.
uh, ate some food, and started cruising again, and just like hiked out of there, ran a little bit of the downhills, and then he just starting to pull me a little bit. I could
Yeah.
tell, and he would get away from me, and I'm like, oh, okay. And at one point, I reel him, excuse me, I reel him back in, and I'm like, I'm not letting him get away anymore, right? Like, let's see what happens, and he's like
Yeah.
jogging some of the uphills, and I'm like, I'm jogging this uphill. I'm running it,
Nice.
like if he's doing it, I'm doing it. Like I trust this guy. He's gonna take me. He's gonna help me get to the end of this thing. And then by the time we got to Kenosha Pass, which is like just over 70-ish miles out, I felt like a totally new person, dude. Like
Oh, wow.
I was invigorated, like driven, wanting to go and get this thing done, and ready to do anything I have
Yeah.
to do my best, right? At the end of the day,
Right.
um, realizing I can still run, because I had the right pacer at the right time to push me appropriately. Where yeah, now I'm like, okay, dude, like we can do this, like I can jog. At one point he's like, we just did a 9:30. I'm just gonna stop you real quick, and I hadn't done a sub 10-minute mile since the whole time. I don't know
Oh,
if I'd done one the
wow.
whole time, maybe like a quick, one of the downhills or something, right? But he's like, do you want to know numbers? And mm, yeah, I do. I was like, yeah, what do we have to do? Like, I want to be competitive. I'm still here. I've still got something in the tank. I told you guys and myself that you get 100% of my heart and soul for this thing, right? So, like, yes, what do we have to do? And then let's do it, And he's like,
Nice.
if you move at 2.9 miles an hour, and you'll get there at this time. If you move at 2.9 miles an hour and you have one more, and you stop for a cumulative 2 hours over the next thing, you'll get there at this time. And 3.4 miles an hour, we'll do this and that. And like, all right, cool. Let's chase the best one, dude. Like, let's just go.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just, don't worry about me. I'm just gonna lock in on. I'm gonna be a half a step behind you, and I'm just never gonna let you get away. So let's go get it done.
Heck
Yeah, we get
yeah.
to Kenosha Pass, dude. And I'm stoked. I'm pretty. I'm just yeah invigorated, dude. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
right.
I feel good, and we've still got a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, you can smell that finish line.
For sure. Yeah. So I get out of there with my buddy Austin, and this is the section of the trail that we called the ambulance last year.
Oh,
So
okay.
this was a good one, especially to pass that exact spot on the course where I I
Yeah.
headed for the service road, dude. It was
Definitely had to be a good feeling.
oh god, yeah, it was special, honestly, yeah, it really was. So I mean, that again was just like one more reason to just be like, hell yeah, dude, let's bear down,
Right.
And we had a great section through there. Got through the that last sunset that I was gonna see for the remainder of the trail, and got to the next crew stop. That night was hard. It was, again, it was just like I know I can't sleep this time. Like there
Yeah.
is no hey get to the crew 2 hours before sunrise and try to pack it in for 2 more hours. That wasn't happening, and it was just like it
Yeah,
was
you're
tough. It was like wee night hours we're challenging again. But at this point, I actually had three pacers with me for this one section
Oh,
for
wow.
whatever reason. Yeah, like somebody just came over. My buddy Brian Sikansky stopped through just to come and join us. You know, he knew he wasn't gonna be the
Nice.
only pacer, but he's like, yeah, dude, I want in on this, right? So yeah, there's three of us going, and it was I needed it. I needed all three
Yeah.
of them. You know, like at that point, like I started to realize when these things were going to go south a little bit, right?
Oh,
And I'd
okay.
be like, yeah, I started to see the warning signs where I would like kick a couple rocks, and I'd be like, oh, it's happening. You know,
Dirt
I
nap.
was not I was not able to step over that rock, so I was just like, hey guys, I'm starting to feel a little off. You know, like um, we turned on the tunes. We started hooting and like yeah, just like trying to bring the energy up and like fake it till you make
Nice.
it. And I eventually kind of came out of it, and it was still tough, but we did fine. And yeah, we did that all the way to Rolling Creek, where again Josh hops in, and we've got like a little over 30 miles to go, and we got our this is the last section. We're gonna see the final sunrise of this thing, and then yeah, bring it into the finish, dude. Right, so
Nice.
yeah, see that last little sunrise, and at this point, you're getting closer and closer to Denver. Now the trails are like getting super buttery smooth,
Oh,
roughed
yeah,
out, like
nice. Less
no
rocks
more
to trip
real
over.
ugly technical stuff. Yeah, oh, it feels so good. It feels
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, I mean, and then um I hop in with Josh, and we start running again,
Yeah.
and a little bit harder, you know, like that was the plan. It was like, hey, I ran really good with Josh. Okay, let's like maintain and hold some of that momentum
Yeah.
with the next few pacers, and then when you get back with Josh, you've got 30 miles to go, net downhill. You got like 5K of downhill, 2,000 feet of climbing to finish it, right? So it's like,
Nice,
okay,
nice.
now we see what we can really do, right? Like 100
Yeah.
miles out, we pushed it. And we were like, okay, how can we close this gap as much as possible? And then 30 miles out, like, okay, like let's get there. You know, let's get
Leave
there, dude.
everything out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were running again, jogging some ups, nothing like real steep, but if it was like a little, like, I don't know, almost like
Yeah,
false flat, you know, like let's
yeah.
run it, you know.
Nice.
But having fun on the downhills, dude, and like sending them. I look at him at one point, I'm like, dude, like simulation, you know? Like I was like, watch this, you know, after 450 miles, and I'd send it downhill and like cruise it back on the uphill. It's like nothing matters, dude. Like this sport makes no sense. You know, it's like it's so much of it's between the ears, dude. And like
Yeah,
things happen with
definitely.
your body, and things get hard, and things are gonna hurt, but so much of it is between the ears. And just to say, or you just make the decision to go. Make the
Yeah,
decision to go. Don't stop.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you did that last 30 miles and like what was that final mile like where you like you knew you were finishing, you had it in the bag. I mean, like that had to have just been kind of like a victory lap.
Oh, it was good. Yeah. So once we popped out onto Waterton Canyon Road, and that's like 6.5 miles out from the end. You know, once I was like, "Whoa, dude, the single track is behind us." Like it's a slight downhill dirt road to the finish. And I'm like, okay. I was like, let's run it in. You know, like there's nothing left in our way but this very flat, maintained road. It is a
Yeah,
road. It is a gravel road. Yeah, let's jog it in, dude. And we ran the last 6 miles at like 10-minute pace.
nice.
And then, I think we were like 2 miles out, 2 or 3 miles out. My buddy Marshall, the guy who came in and did the angel pacing for us and saved us at the spot
Uh-huh.
where the pacer had to pull out, rides out on his bike. And, oh, how you doing? Throws a bucket hat on me because we started that last section, and I still had my leggings on. I actually still had a wool shirt on. And getting into Waterton Canyon is hot, dude.
Oh, I
It's like
bet.
noon,
Yeah.
and it's a canyon, dude. It's like walls on both sides, like high noon, sun's right above us, and it's actually really hot this day.
Yeah.
So I'm cooking. But he's just riding next to me on his bike, spraying me with his water bottle, keep me cool. Yeah, and then like I
Nice.
see another pacer like jog out to meet us and start joining us, and then before I know, there's like 5 or 6 of us running.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
Uh, like, oh, like, hey, you're like, yeah, 2 miles to go. And I'm like, 2 miles to go. Okay, a little bit more effort, like let's go. And started to just kind of bear down, and I could get into this headspace and getting emotional. I'm at the end, dude. It's like right
Yeah.
there, and I'm like, okay, again, like I made a promise, and I can never guarantee an effort, but or sorry, I can never guarantee a result, but I can always guarantee an effort, right? And I told
Yeah.
you guys you get 100% of my heart, body, and soul for this whole thing. So there's still something left. Like, let's use it. And we ended up finishing in we did like an 840
Oh my
for
gosh.
mile 486 or 487, and then the last half a mile it was like a 730, 730 pace. I
Oh,
really
man.
really brought it in, dude. Yeah,
Seriously, dude. Way to finish.
yeah,
487 miles, you get 740, 730.
yeah. My fastest miles of the entire effort.
That's insane, man. And so you finish in 7 days, 4 hours, 37 minutes, and 22 seconds. 480, what did you say? 487 miles, right?
487. Yeah.
That's in. So how far so did you beat the overall east to west FKT?
Yes.
So you got both
Um.
the west and east collegiate routes.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
And how far
Yes.
ahead of you were you? Were you above, Jeff Browning's record, who just set it a couple days before you?
It's like between 4 and 5 hours, I believe.
Nice. That had to
Yeah.
feel good beating I mean, Jeff Browning, a legend in the sport to,
Oh,
go out there, and that had to feel good.
yeah. Totally. Right. And it's again, we did separate routes. Like, I'll never just like
Sure,
leave that
sure,
out of the
sure.
picture, right? But yeah, um, yeah, and like Jeff is a dude I've looked up to since I saw this. Since I
Right.
saw this as a potential opportunity to be an ultra runner, like Jeff
Yeah.
has been doing this forever, dude. I I did a recording with him for FKT podcast, and I think he said he's 53 years old.
He is, yeah.
And I'm
Like,
like,
it's
dude,
insane.
I
What
still
he
got 2 decades of this, baby. Let's go.
right? I know, it's inspirational. I know, it's like, it gives me
Yeah,
hope.
yeah. So Jeff is a dude I've looked up to
Yeah,
since I got into the sport. So I mean,
absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
it
so
felt
I'm
really good.
curious, what's the difference between the East Collegiate and the West Collegiate as far as, like, is there a difference in mileage and elevation gain?
Yeah. So I don't have the hard numbers in front of me, so go take a peek at your data and your facts
Yeah.
after this. But I want to say it's like the west side um, is like has maybe 1,500 feet more of climbing,
Okay.
so not a ton. And this is over the course of 80 miles, right?
Okay.
And it might be like an extra 2 or so miles.
Okay.
And then outside of that, the other big difference with it is that it does get a little bit higher again.
And
So
so
the
with
east side kind of skirts the collegiate mountains a little bit more
okay.
and stays a little lower, stays in the trees a little bit more. And that west side, you get up and you get a little bit more exposed again, and you hit a couple of more passes.
Okay. And which
Yeah, so
one did you
it's a
do?
little more remote. I went east.
You went east. Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha. A little okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's crazy stinking impressive, man. 7 days, 4 I mean, that's it's mind-boggling to think 487 miles in that kind of time with the Achilles issues, the anterior tibialis pain. I mean, just it, I've gone 136 miles, the farthest I've gone, and so to think of, like, going that far, that's just it's insane, man. So that's massive, massive congratulations to you for such an amazing FKT, and obviously your crew. I mean, 100% gets a big portion of this because without them, I'm sure it would not have been possible. I mean, they were sounds like the perfect crew for you, what you needed at that right time.
Oh, totally. Yeah, none of this happens without them. It was like I just had a good time out there with a bunch of my best friends. So,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, like it was fun. Like a
yeah,
lot of tough stuff happens in the middle of it. It's hard, but it's fun, dude. And it's like I'm happy I had the people that I had. You know,
right.
um, it's not the same
Well,
story without them.
yeah, definitely. Well, what I mean, have you already started thinking of what's next for you? What's the next challenge you're gonna try to tackle?
I want to go to Cocodona 250.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I want to race down a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like you asked early in this conversation, like, "Hey, did I go 5K, 10K, half marathon?" Like, I've run a 5K. I don't think I've ever run a 10K. I've done a couple of half marathons, just like some random trail stuff.
Sure.
I've never run a marathon. I've never run like a sanctioned 50K, 50 mile or 100 mile or 200 mile. I skipped all the stuff between, dude. It's like I ran the 100 miles, but it was at WTM on a 24-hour event. Um, yeah, which I'm not too worried about like going, trying to check off, not yet, at least like a marathon time or like 100-mile like time and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to
Cocodona,
I
though.
want, I want to dip my toe in the 200-mile range. I think
Yeah.
that I could go there and I could be highly competitive,
Yeah, I think
and
so.
it sounds fun. Yeah, so and introduce myself a little bit more to the running world. You know, like I came out of OCR and went to through hiking, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, do you have, I mean, are you already registered for Cocodona next year?
So I have a spot available. I gotta just figure out how to put,
Okay.
yeah, how to actually get myself a bib, right? It's like a $1,500 entry fee.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
wow. Yeah.
yeah. So, but
Okay.
we will sort that out. I have 100% intentions of being at the start line of that race, and
Nice. Now, for
yeah.
this FKT, did you have any sort of like sponsor help or any kind of support from brands at all, or was this just you pulling everything together?
So I had some of my supplements sponsored by a company called Endurelite.
Okay.
They've been working with me since like October of 2022. So
Oh,
just before my
nice.
first WTM event. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, besides that, it's like me and the crew scrounging up gas money and
Right.
yeah, chipping away at our life savings to go get this thing done, dude.
Nice. That's awesome to
Yeah.
see, like, I mean, I don't know if this is a bad term, but the dirt bagging term, basically,
Oh,
a dirt
great.
bag crew getting out there and getting something massive like this done
Yeah.
with, just some nutrition support. That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, it really is. It's like more support would be helpful. It's
Yeah.
like these things are big undertakings. We had like
Yes.
3 vehicles that I don't know how many miles they did a piece, but like 1,000. It was ridiculous. You
Yeah.
know, um,
Yeah, all
yeah,
the
and
food, all
all
the
the food.
coffee they drink and all the gas and all
Yeah,
your
time off
gear
work,
and exactly,
time
yeah.
time spent, dude. Right? So it's like I do my best at the end of the day to try to take all of the responsibility from them. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're getting
That's
it done.
awesome,
We're
man.
getting it
That's
done, though.
awesome.
Yeah, keep chipping away at these things
Yeah.
and wave my hands in the air and stick my face out there and see who wants to come around and be a part of the team in the future.
Heck yeah, man. Well,
Yeah,
DJ, it's been awesome hearing about this whole not just the FKT, but just your well, I don't know, your journey into running and through the OCRs and especially the FKT, man. Just congratulations again on that. And I really, really look forward to watching the live stream of Cocodona and maybe even being out there in the coming
nice.
year to I won't be running it, but but to be out there, I want to get some film at some point, but just to see how you do out there because I think you're 100% right with your long trail experience and the speed you could be pretty darn competitive out there, I imagine. So it'd be fun to see that outcome.
That's the plan.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming
Yeah,
on, DJ. It's been awesome, man. And who knows when you get on that podium out at Cocodona, maybe we'll chat again.
yeah, buddy. Love it. I look forward to it.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode of The Adventure Jogger, please consider joining our Patreon and be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok for more content like this. Without your continued support, we would not be able to produce this type of content. So thank you so much to everyone that has listened, followed along, subscribed, liked, commented, you name it, donated on Patreon. Thank you.